Now, the Bram Weinstein Show on Washington's new home for sports, ESPN 630.
Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I drove back from New Jersey, everyone. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone.
Yes, you did.
With you.
With me. That's right. Yeah.
We road tripped.
Yeah. As if we don't spend enough hours together during the week.
To do the, we had a terrible dinner on the way home. Our only choices were at the
What was worse?
Maryland house.
What was worse, the arena food or the ride home food? Uh-huh. Yeah. Because I was thinking about that part to bed last night.
So, not to knock Gotham, but, they pregame meals for the media.
Correct.
The game was supposed to be at 1:30.
That's right.
It was moved to 6 o'clock because of the heat wave, which I don't think was the wrong thing to do. I think it affected their crowd yesterday because last minute they changed everything.
Right.
But they clearly, breakfast was on the menu for the pregame meal because it was going to be served at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Or a little bit beforehand. And so I just want to preface this. I saw the PR at Gotham was very nice, added me to the list of everything for the game day, and that was listed. It said it was going to be
a breakfast.
Eggs,
sausage, bacon, bread products.
Little pastries, all that stuff, yeah. And I literally looked at my phone and I went, It was like I was in an Uber going to the stadium going, I wonder if they're going to change this up. And I go, this is New York. You're not changing anything once you've locked this stuff in.
Not in Harrison, New Jersey.
Yeah, that's right.
You play in the Garden. They're like, call that place down the street.
Right,
We're changing this.
Yes, correct.
And we'll give them some pub during the game or something, but they didn't. So when we showed up, the pregame meal was put out at 4:30, 5 o'clock, whatever it was, and it's eggs, bacon, sausage. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I understand that's what the order was, but now I want to know, when was this made?
Right. We did.
Was that made at 9 o'clock in the morning and made it to?
I doubt it. It looked fresh enough.
I don't know.
Yeah,
because it was supposed to be delivered by a certain time. So when was that delivered?
That opens up a different question of whether they cook it on premises, which they might.
Maybe.
I
thought I'm complaining.
It's a different kind of kitchen.
Well, I am complaining, but it's fine. I ate it.
Yeah, it's fine. So did I.
I was a little concerned because I'm like, eggs that have been sitting in this, thing for probably 8-9 hours. Should I eat that before I call a match?
Right, sure.
And I did.
Yeah.
And I did because it was that or nothing.
Sausage and bacon is going to be fine. That's got so much salt in it. You're fine.
That survives the apocalypse.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Nuclear bomb it. The bacon's fine.
Yeah. It gets cooked fast.
Yeah. Tastes better. Crispy. So anyway, all right, we had a very nice time. We think we're the first ever. The
league retweeted it. So.
Yeah, so they must agree with us.
Yeah.
First ever in-person road broadcast by a radio crew of any NWSL match.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
How about that? It was fun.
A little bit of history.
Nice venue there, by the way. Red Bull Arena, nice venue, right near Newark. If you go up to New York at all, you probably see it.
Yes,
it's right
I've
off.
seen
It's
it
right
a ton
off
of times.
It's right off the highway. I'd never been to one. It's where the Red Bulls play in the MLS, and it's where Gotham plays now. Gotham, I think, moved around a little bit, like everybody, but they play there now.
They played at Rutgers at one point.
So there was nice venue, great opportunity, good vantage point. Put us up on the roof. It's great.
Yeah,
and we had a great match again. We won again, so that was fun. We haven't lost yet. We've called 5 matches. They haven't lost.
It's not jinx it.
I know.
It's not jinx it.
Every time I say it, I'm like, I'm going to jinx it, and then it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. Not only that, they are like taking out good teams doing this too. It's not like they're playing powder puff.
Gotham's the champion, and they were 1 point behind them in the standings.
Right.
And Rose Lavelle's silly.
I told you this in post game when you guys were calling the game. The TV broadcast had a camera angle on Crystal Dunn, who also used to be on the Spirit, by the way. She was all frustrated, just chatter all the way to the bench, and she's sitting next to Rose Lavelle, and Rose Lavelle just has a 1,000-yard stare ahead. And I'm like, this is what this team is doing to people right now.
Yeah, fun.
Messing up really good players.
I'll take a small amount of credit for it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
There you go. Yeah.
You got the aura.
Your spirit aura over there.
Aura.
Got it.
Why not? I can take a little bit of credit.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's a good partnership.
I'll get back into that match in a moment, a little later. I'll talk about it in a little bit. But I do want to start with
you didn't want to mention your dinner on the way home?
Oh, God. So, you told me you weren't hungry. I was hungry after the match, but you told me you weren't. And I also wanted to just get home because it turned into a long day. We went up there Saturday. I stayed near the stadium, so, there ain't much going on in East Rutherford. But whatever, because I just wanted to get up in the morning and go to the stadium. I didn't want to be in New York and have to deal with the rigmarole of getting out. And I knew the night before, I'm like, that's not pretty. for me. I'm going to end up with friends, and we're going to do the New York thing, and they don't go out till 11 o'clock, so it's going to be a whole thing. And like if I could sleep in, that's one thing, but it's another thing when I have to get up and be on point, and I didn't want to do that, so I got a room out there. Then they changed the timing of it. And so, we were going to have a nice leisurely ride home because the match would have been over 3:30, 4 o'clock, and we would have stopped for dinner and got something somewhere. But because it was late and we just wanted to get home, we just started racing back. And you told me you weren't hungry, so that didn't, make me feel like we need to stop quickly. So I stretched it till we got to Maryland. Yeah, and I'm like, last stop is Maryland House or Chesapeake House. I can't remember which one. It's always one of the two. And so I'm like, we stopped there, and then everything's closed because it's Sunday night. So we ended up in the stupid market. And, the choice is there at that point. I mean, if you're picking the tuna salad, you think the eggs are dangerous at 4:30 in the afternoon. The tuna salad at Z-Mart or whatever it is a bad move.
I think I said we weren't even in the door, and I said, definitely going to be a chicken Caesar salad wrap. Like, first thing I pulled
Then you got it.
I got it. Yeah, because you can't go wrong with that.
I went the safest route I could go, PB&J.
Pre-made.
Because they had pre-made PB&J. Well, because I'm like, again, the apocalypse, it will survive that.
Right.
This won't go bad. Like, it's impossible for it to go bad.
Cooked chicken, cheese, and lettuce will not also go bad either.
Probably not.
It's pretty
The
safe.
Cheese part's dangerous. The lettuce part these days
sprinkle.
in the news
It's a little sprinkle.
Yeah, right.
Whatever.
It's not a lot of lettuce. That's actually the expensive part of the whole thing.
That's right.
Anyway, so we had that for dinner, which was not the greatest move. But
Sure.
we got home.
Yeah.
And we got home I got home before 1 a.m., which I was surprised.
Yeah, it was
by.
relatively, I think it was relatively
Kind of
fast.
raced down. It was pretty good.
No traffic, yeah.
Let me get to the noteworthy news item that I saw this morning about Jason Wright.
Uh-huh.
Did you see this?
I did not see this. This is new to me.
CBS is reporting this. I assume it's true. As you know, the Packers just, you probably saw, they term out their presidents. They're the only publicly owned organization in the NFL. There will never be another one.
Right.
Well, I didn't know this, but they term out the president. So Mark Murphy, who's been the president for a long time.
Do they have campaigns and vote for each other?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
I'm a shareholder.
Oh, okay.
I get notices every year. I could go to the shareholder meeting.
No, I mean, are there two different presidents that, are campaigning to be voted on?
Well, no, they were, I don't know what the system was here, but like Mark Murphy lasted through the years, but he termed out and they're retiring him as of next year.
Right.
So they had to find their next president.
Right.
So they were talking about it, voting it. And apparently, according to CBS, Jason Wright was a finalist to be the next CEO or president or however they designate it, because it's not an ownership group, but he would be the top executive of the Green Bay Packers. And he ended up not getting the job. I'm not surprised by this part because they went internal.
Got it.
Which sounds pretty much like the guy who got it is Carmen Policy, who forever was in the league as an executive with the 49ers and I think the Browns, but mainly the 49ers. His son has been a lawyer and COO of the team in Green Bay for a very long time. So he ended up getting promoted to the position of CEO. So it's not a surprise that that's the way it went. But it was notable that they put out there, for our purposes, it was notable that Jason Wright was in the running and was listed in this report as a finalist for that job. Which is not a surprise, because he's been the president of this team for 4 years. He's, say what you want about the job that he's done here, and we all have our own opinions about a number of different things that happened through the years, but this was a very difficult time period to have to try to shepherd an organization through. Name changes multiple times. Obviously, all the things that were going on off the field, like he's there at the end of the Snyder era. He's getting through the transition, coaching change, all that stuff, ownership change, all of that. He's still there now. And so, say what you want about all the stuff he did. That was a very difficult position he was put in for sure. And especially for someone who has no institutional knowledge of the area. He's not from here.
Sure. Yeah.
So, we complained openly about you're doing a lot of things on behalf of a fan base that you don't know well enough. And maybe you should have included a few more voices that did. But that's neither here nor there at this point. I think largely, and maybe some people disagree with me, and you're free to. I actually think largely he did a pretty good job with a lot of things. And there are some, items like Sean Taylor's statue and some other things that occurred, and the name change for that matter, that didn't go, probably as well as they would have hoped. So, we could argue back and forth, like what kind of job did he do? But it's just notable that he was up for this position, which means, would he have taken it? And obviously he would have taken it. He was finalist for it.
Of course.
Does that mean he's not going to be here much longer in general?
Yeah, that's the open question.
And that is the open question. And, the other open question would be off of that. well, if he was up for that position and the Commanders did not want him to leave and they're not going to make him the CEO, that's Josh Harris and the ownership group, because we're a different functioning organization than a publicly owned one. We have owners. So he was never going to be the top person. So that would be obviously an upgrade in position for him, because he's, number 3, 4, whatever it is here. He'd be number 1 there technically. So it would be an upgrade in position. But if the Commanders definitively valued him and looked at him as the CEO underneath the ownership group, would they have made it so that he would not leave? And it sounds like, if you just read the reporting, that there was the blessing of go ahead and try to get it.
Yeah, right.
And, he was up against a difficult situation if that organization was almost always going to lean internally. But they gave him the opportunity to interview, and it sounds like he was close to landing that position. And now here we are in June, and he's looking at that. It begs the question for me, do we have more transition coming here?
Yeah.
And obviously if he left, yes, right, obviously. But he didn't. So now the question is he looking at other positions of a similar capacity, either with football organizations, other sporting organizations, or other things, or is he staying?
Yep, right.
And the Commanders did not, notably, after I read this report, announce any kind of Jason Wright is here for this period of time under this title, whether it changes or not, and, et cetera. And we don't need to know his financial details of that, but they could have easily just said he's not going anywhere. Like, we understand why he interviewed for this job, et cetera. Like, it's not like that would have been a secret to the ownership group that he did that.
Yeah.
They had to vet him through the organization, obviously, in the NFL. So the fact that the Commanders didn't say, I read this and was like, and then the Commanders didn't say anything about his future. It is an open question now. Is more major change coming to the front office business side? This is less about the football side, but more about the business side, because we know who's in charge of the football side now, and they're not going anywhere for a while. But he is the president of the organization, and he did, nearly land a different position of a similar, status point with a different NFL organization. Does that mean that he's actively, seeking other, opportunity outside of this, or was this a one-off? And that's a question that he would need to answer. But it does lead me to believe it's possible we do have more transition coming at a major spot in this organization. Not that I'm overly surprised by it, because he wasn't hired by this ownership group. But, I wasn't sure, because he's been here a year, and, we all had our theories about what would happen with all this stuff. But he is still here and has been a close, ally to this new ownership group in transitioning. So now the question is now reopened. Is he going to be here longer term, or was this the first sign of maybe another major change is about to occur?
Right.
I don't know when, but
I think
who knows?
Initial reaction from me is, if you're in his type of position with this organization or in the NFL in general, you'd be dumb not to try to join the Packers, right? Like,
well, as the CEO, for sure. Like, I don't blame him for a second. Like, that's an incredible, unique position.
Maybe the most storied franchise in the league, oldest franchise in the league. So, I mean,
at the same time, you could say back to you, he's the president of the Washington Commanders, 90-year-old NFL franchise. It doesn't get much, unless you're going to be an owner, it doesn't get much higher than that, really.
Ain't the same, though, in terms of,
he is kind of de facto the end-all, be-all decision maker for the Packers if you were to get that position. You are beholden to the shareholders and to the major board, so they're really the owners. The board is really the owners, but you're the de facto voice of the ownership, as opposed to what he is now, which he is underneath the ownership.
Yeah, right, correct. So that's my initial reaction. Like, I think if you and I were up for some other big job, we'd be dumb not to apply for it.
Of course.
Like if we're just talking about it. And so,
if I got asked to, there's no comparison, but like if I got asked to do something that was the person of a storied franchise, well, it'd be hard not to at least talk to them about it for sure. So I don't blame him for it.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm questioning now, okay, is he actively seeking other positions? Does the team want him to remain in the position that he's in? Understandably, that he's going to go talk to the Packers about the CEO job. Of course he is. Or is another transition coming? Because the notable part of it to me was, I read that and I went, the Commanders didn't say anything. On the other side of the Packers did name their CEO. It's not him. Well, they didn't put out a release saying Jason Wright is our president for, however they work out those details. And maybe they will this week. If they don't, it will leave the open possibility that another major change is heading to the organization that's different than I know most people, and I fall into this category. Most people, like, they just want to know what's going on with the football team part of it.
Yeah.
The business aspect of it is very, very important for the vibrancy and the potential collective success of the organization. Like, I don't dismiss that. So I think it's a really big deal, but I think most fans just go, well, Adam Peters is here, so if he stays or he goes, like, we know who's running the football team. That's not in question really right now.
Right. The counterpoint to that, though, would be even if they don't say anything, isn't that in line with how they've been with this new ownership group?
Yes, they're very quiet. They don't say anything.
So, I mean, I wouldn't
actually... But, I think if he was being signed long-term to remain president or whatever his role title would be under this new ownership group, I think they would announce it.
I don't think they would.
Really?
I don't think the fan base really – I think the fan base is 50-50 on him.
Maybe.
And so I think they're going, we don't need to. We just need to let him, do his job and – so be it if people don't know about his contract. I
don't know, and I don't want to sit here and pretend I know what his contract terms are. I don't.
Right.
I don't know if he's under contract with them for, short term or long term. I just don't know, and I've never asked, and it's not my business really to know. Well, so I don't know. So I'm not insinuating anything. I don't know what his contractual terms are with the team.
And my whole point with him too is we actually don't really know what his what is mainly his role now compared to what it was in the past.
It's changed. I can give you a little bit of insight into that. Not a lot, because, again, this organization's been very quiet about, but, I mean, I know who the coaches are. I know what their jobs are. Right. I know what Adam Peters is. I know what his job is.
They're under contract, too.
I know they're under contract for periods of time.
Yes.
I know that the people he hired are going to be here for periods of time. Like I'll give you – Martin Mayhew's a good example of this. Martin Mayhew is one of the carryovers that ended up staying, in the front office in whatever he's not the GM anymore, whatever his title is now. But they announced that.
Right.
They announced that Martin Mayhew is not leaving. They also, Eric Stokes did leave. Yep. Some others did leave, and they didn't have to go in and announce that, but they made it publicly known that these are the changes that are happening. The other side of the building, I suppose, doesn't need that, but he is the president. So I do feel like that is a little bit different, and I would be surprised if they don't publicly address it in some way.
Yeah.
Unless, he is looking actively for multiple opportunities. That's the open question. Was this a one-off because it's the Packers CEO, and why wouldn't he try to get that position? A lot of people probably tried to get that position. Or is this one of many opportunities that he's potentially looking at? And if it's one of many that he's looking at, it means that the team is transitioning away. So, this is a difficult one to talk about, but I think it's important to understand for the purpose of we're trying to figure out the direction this team is going. He's a big part of that. You can pretend he isn't, but he is. He's the president of the team. When Eric Stokes left, it's notable to know that the director of player personnel is no longer the director of player personnel, so we now know who those people are. In the same way, I'd like to know who's running the business side of the organization, whether it's going to be him or not.
Yeah, right. I would say this, too, about him, though. I'm sure more of the main role for him is the business side of things, and
it is now.
And mainly also is that involves tickets. And
yes,
I know that just by watching games that there are commercials again and promotions, and there are more people at the games. At least last year there were.
Yeah, they're hoping a massive uptick in sales this year because Jaden Daniels, Dan Quinn, Adam Peters, new ownership. Everyone's excited again. Feels like it's going the right way. Not a bunch of terrible headlines about the organization anymore. They're hoping things get back on track into the, I can get on board with this.
Yes, and I'm trying to find it here because it was for the training camp announcement that I was like, this is different, and it means he's doing his job well. It was, I'm trying to find the full, here we go. This is just the email headline in my email from Commanders PR here. Washington Commanders 2024 training camp announcement presented by Bank of America, Clark Construction, and Pepsi to be held at the Ortho Virginia Training Center at Commanders Park. Those are 4 more sponsors than they had all of last year or the year before, besides the training center.
And Jason's, and this is why I say, I know people complain a lot about the things he did because some of the top ticket items didn't go particularly well.
Right.
There is this stuff underneath that this is why I'm I don't think he did a bad job. You have to understand, this was a very difficult position to go sell.
Yes.
And he was able to do it.
Right, exactly.
So, and he needs credit for that. That he was able to do that, amidst all these things that were happening that were not positive about the organization and very uncertain. You're going to these major sponsors and saying, I want, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in sponsorship. And they're going, who's the owner going to be? And he goes, I don't know.
Right.
Exactly. It's Dan Snyder right now.
Right.
That's a tough sell, for some people. So I think some of that stuff that doesn't make the headlines or gets into, the lifeblood of what we consume, that went under the radar and he didn't get credit for it.
Yes,
and I think he deserves it today, especially to hear that.
I agree.
He did more than people have ever given him credit for if he's here or not here.
Well, it's playing to his strengths too, because I always, I didn't want to knock him for this, but he was put in the position, not that it was all his fault, but like when he was getting put in charge of these major things, like the Sean Taylor, both of the things where they honored him and then everyone wants to say statue, but it was always called an installation or whatever the word was, right? Yeah. He was put in these really difficult situations where he doesn't even know what the attention to detail for some of that stuff was supposed to be. Now, I would knock him by, you need to ask people, but
yeah, I knocked him on. I think that he would have helped himself if he had more voices of institutional knowledge guiding him a little bit. And I think he's kind of somewhat admitted, that was kind of a mistake. They closed the circle just a little too much on some of these items, where I think some of these kind of own goals might not have happened.
That's right.
Had a couple of people that he trusted who've been around the team forever raised their hand and said, you know what, I don't think that's going to land right. So let's just, let's rethink that.
But that was all non-business stuff.
Correct.
The business stuff, I've never really had a complaint about it. And besides
the training camp atmosphere was way better the last couple of years, and that he had a lot to do with that. Yeah. The sponsorship has gotten better. They've gotten more people on board. That he had a lot to do with that. Mm-hmm. He was in, not unlike Ron a little bit, he was in a weird position of being forced and thrust to be one of the major voices and front-facing personalities of the team, even though all the stuff that was going on had nothing to do with him.
That's right.
So that's a tough spot. Remember, he was doing 1 million interviews, and then people got critical of him for being out there. Well, somebody had to do it, and he was forced into it.
Right.
And as it turns out, as a communicator, it is a great strength of his. He's very good at presenting very well and deflecting very well when necessary. He's a good communicator. He knows how to handle all of that stuff.
Yep. Right.
So we'll see. So this is it's just another sign of there might be another major change that's coming, or maybe not. Maybe it was a one-off because it was a specific opportunity. He didn't get it, and, well, nobody was going to get it because they were going internal, but they looked at him really hard, obviously.
Yes.
If the report was he was a finalist, well, then they looked at him really hard. So is he scouring, looking for his next opportunity because he's not going to be here, or he's looking for another opportunity, or was this a one-off, and only he can answer that? What has changed over the last year for him, you may notice this, he's not out publicly being a voice of the team very often anymore. He does it sometimes, but it's at the behest of the ownership. It goes back to this ownership group does want things much quieter. They want controlled messages. Adam Peters is way on board with all of that, because he's very quiet about everything they do. He does very selective media, availabilities, and he's very good at keeping everything close to the vest. But that's the football side. Jason was kind of caught in both, where he was talking about the football team. He would defend Carson Wentz as the president of the team, even though he's not really on the football side. And then there was a question, how much is he really in the football side with Ron? How much is he not? It was always kind of hard to kind of tell. This was one of Ron's faults, too. We were never really clear who was doing what. Outside of Ron Rivera was the head coach of the team and was the de facto GM, but was Hurney the GM? Was Martin the GM?
Right.
Was Ron the GM? Was Jason somewhat consulting that? We never really knew what was going on, and I think that streamlined communication matters for an organization as well. And Jason, but to defend him, under the previous ownership group, he was forced to be a front-facing because the owner wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
And Ron can't do everything and can't take all the bullets for all of it. That's not fair. You needed a second shield of the business side to stand up, and he did that for them.
I will say this. I think we needed to have a little bit of revisionist history where, I think Jason, and some of the interviews he had done, remember he had kind of hinted he wanted to get involved on the football side?
Yes.
And so I will say, as much as we've not...
He hinted that way.
Yes. As much as
I don't know how much he did because only Ron could answer that.
That's right. But I will say this. I think as harsh as we've been to guys like Ron and Eric Bieniemy, I kind of look at Jason and go, he couldn't have done much worse than what Ron did with the roster.
I mean, right. And then honestly, too, when Bieniemy was hired, I think it was a fair open question to go, who's hiring him?
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
And under what circumstances? Yeah. So remember when he was hired, we're going, wait a minute, because it never made a tremendous amount of sense. You're empowering someone to be his replacement?
Right.
Or not to be his replacement. Because they were pitching it if he does really well here, he'll get a head coaching job somewhere.
Yeah.
And like, well, so wait a minute, you hired him for 1 year?
Right.
That never jived or added up.
Sense.
And then you're like, okay, did Ron want him? Did Jason want him? Did they both want him?
They both want him, yeah. Right.
You know, what was really going on here?
Right.
And so I guess this is let's see, this is TBD. Because seeing that, while it wasn't overly surprising that he was up for a different position with a different team, the fact that I should check his social media. The fact that I haven't seen him literally say anything, and maybe I just missed it, but like I haven't seen him say anything or the team say anything off of the news that he was a finalist for a job and didn't get it. Does that mean he's staying here? And it seems to be crickets on that end.
Yeah.
So only they can answer that question of whether he's actively seeking a different position or this was a one-off and they actually intend to keep him here now that it didn't happen.
Yeah,
so they'll have to answer that question. Maybe they will, maybe they won't.
I don't think they will.
I don't
think you're going to hear any of it addressed.
I think they will if he's going to be here long term.
Sure. If he signs a new contract and they say they sign him to a deal. But
I don't think they're going to keep that quiet. I think they're going to say the president of the team is staying.
Right.
But they haven't done that yet. Right. So we'll see. Bram, watch the show, ESPN 630 Sports Capital. All right, so we talked about what's going on internally here off of just a report. I guess, to be fair, Jason Wright could deny that that's the case. It's just a report that he was a finalist. I would assume he was.
Right.
But, he could say that's not true.
Yeah, but why would you deny that, though? I mean, or why would they lie about that?
I agree. So, to be fair to him, though, because, he might be like, they're using my name or whatever.
Right.
He could say anything like that. Anyway, all right, let's talk about what's going on in Dallas. There's two things that I found very interesting here. One, I'll get to Mike McCarthy in a minute because it's a great revelation that's going on there. But Jerry Trotter writes for a very popular Cowboys site, says this. It's called The Landry Hat. That's the name of his site.
Good one.
He asserts now that Dan Quinn, quote, overspent on a pair of Cowboys free agents in Dorrance Armstrong and Tyler Biadasz, signed a 33-year-old Zach Ertz who's played only 17 games over the last couple of years. And then he says, quote, any of these moves could blow up in Quinn's face, but there's one marquee signing that already looks like a flop, running back Austin Eckler. So he's basically just poo-pooing everything that they've done to reset the roster and says this is actually going the wrong way. Don't portray it as they're building the roster the right way from the Cowboys' point of view, partially because he came from there. And a couple of the prominent free agents and the ones they spent really actually the most money on are ex-players of that team outside of Luvu. He's the only one who got real money with any length of time attached to it that isn't directly connected to the Cowboys in the past.
Right, exactly.
He lands on the Eckler part because he went on with Kay Adams. And he said he wasn't going to re-sign with the Chargers because they wanted a bell cow, someone who's going to carry the ball a million times. And at this stage of his career, they didn't think he could do it, and he doesn't think he can do it.
Yeah,
he doesn't think he can do it either. So he called the reasoning to leave as "quote unquote" ludicrous, and that it's basically a sign that he's diminished goods, and therefore it would blow up in their face.
Okay, what's blowing up though? It's a 1-year deal.
It's a 2-year deal.
2-year deal.
They can get out of it
you're right.
after 1 year.
Yeah.
He's also making like $4 million.
Yeah, right.
So I'm looking at this going, what are you talking about?
Right.
Like, this is almost no risk. Like, if he's average or not good, they can move on.
That's right.
And he's not even on the between the tackle stuff. He's not even their lead running back.
That's right.
You're not paying attention.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Like, our number one running back there is a young guy who should be getting the ball more than he has in the past and is quite capable of carrying that load if they ever put it on him. I've been waiting for them to give B-Rob the ball more.
That's right.
Over the last year, last year especially. I'm like, what are you all doing?
It wasn't happening last year, but yeah.
No. So I think this guy's way off.
Well, it's also June, and people have crap to write about, and that's the you-know-what stirring that an opposing fan base would do.
I guess. But, like, if they had given, I would hear out if they were giving, like, if they gave Eckler, like, $10 million a year, I would hear that out and go, yeah, I don't know if he's that anymore.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
Right.
Like, they got him like they got just about everybody else on what was a market to below market short-term deal. Even if it doesn't work out, what's your point?
Right. It's also
they get out of it after 1 year, and it's almost no harm, no foul. Like what?
It's also a lot of
and he's playing for his ex-head coach. What are you talking about?
Right. And a lot of the signings, actually, you need to look at who they're replacing, and it's not this crazy drop-off. And in some cases, in a lot of the cases, they're upgrades on what the positions are.
Did they misutilize Antonio Gibson? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, right.
You know, they could never figure out how to use him right. Yeah. And then he had the fumbling problem for a while, but they could never really figure out how to use him right. I thought he was a much more diverse weapon than they ever figured out how to use him. That's fine. But, like, they weren't getting a tremendous amount of production out of him, probably by their own fault, but they weren't. And they replaced him with a veteran who's done it for years, who, if he stays healthy, he'll give the exact same, if not way more, than what Gibson gave. I don't even get this argument.
Yeah, that's a dumb one.
It is a dumb one.
Yeah.
The other thing that's happening down there, which I'm enjoying a lot, is apparently, and this is, again, these are, you know, the sources where they come from. It's not Schefter saying it or Ian Rappaport, but Tyler Dunn, who's, you know, actually made a name for himself in sports media. He's got a site called Go Long, but he talks to a lot of the people, so he's a little more legitimized than I think this other guy who's running Cowboys blog. Said of Mike McCarthy, he is getting, quote unquote, fed up with Jerry Jones, and quote, this is an ex-Cowboys personnel man telling Tyler Dunn he's doing the best he can. Some of the people I've talked to have said that he's getting fed up with all of this a little bit, which is makes sense, and also is one of the signs of both sides are about to take a position about the other, and McCarthy is just kind of getting that out there a little bit. So if things don't go particularly well this year, which it's heading towards, they're not a 12-win team again. Maybe they're a playoff team again.
Sure.
But nobody loses the amount of people they lost and replicates it unless you have Pat Mahomes.
That's right.
Or Josh Allen or someone like that where you can make up for it. And while I think Dak's very good, I think we can all agree he's not that for them. So can Dak ascend everybody else? We haven't really seen that. Is their defense going to be as good as they've been without Dan Quinn and Joe Witt and now Armstrong and a few others that were defections because they couldn't keep everybody because of cap issues? Probably not, right?
Right.
They said they were going all in, but signed literally nobody. I don't know who their running backs are. Ezekiel Elliott's back, but don't at me with that. Their offensive line, there's no chance it's as good as it was. Like, no chance. Gallup's gone. Cooks is going to be there on a short-term deal. They got to pay Lamb. You can't make them on paper better than they've been.
Right. Correct.
They have regressed. Now, the question is how much? Like, I still think they have a very good team. I still think they're formidable. And on paper, their roster on the whole is probably better than the Giants and Commanders, which puts them in likely second place. And if the Eagles go cuckoo again, who knows, right? But I don't think they're getting to the places they got to, at least in the regular season again, just based on all the attrition that's occurred to them. And McCarthy knows that if they don't land in those spots, that he probably will be replaced at some point. Jones, who's actually, he talks a lot, but he's actually more loyal, I think.
I'd agree with
He's
that.
not flippant.
Yeah.
He doesn't just fire people. I think the fans were demanding McCarthy get fired last year. Didn't happen. Paid off for him. They got rid of Kellen Moore. McCarthy took over the offense. They were as good, if not better. Dak had a great rebound season. They won 12 games again and were a disappointment in the playoffs, but they were still really good. McCarthy made his case. This time around, he's looking at the team again going, don't know if I can replicate that. I'm going to get blamed. I already know it.
Right.
And so I better stake some ground now and go, you know what? The owner does meddle a lot. I think you all know that, but I'm just going to kind of quietly point it out so that you'll see when we don't have the season we had, you know, guys, it's not all me.
Well, the reason,
you know that, right?
But also the reason that's dumb is everyone knows that you knew what you were signing up for.
Yes.
When you sign on with the
He's
Cowboys.
He's the GM of the team. So like the silly part is when you say he meddles, he's the general manager.
He
defines.
He's literally allowed to.
You know, the other thing, too, and I hate when everybody says this because they got on Snyder about it forever. You know all the owners do.
Right. Yeah, of course.
There's not one of them that sits back and doesn't have anything to do. Look, Robert Kraft isn't a meddler. He got in the middle of Belichick and Brady.
Right.
Of course he meddles in all this stuff. Jeffrey Lurie famously meddled. He's in all of these conversations. Some of the stuff about the Giants is that the owners aren't on the same page and can't seem to make decisions together that's in the right interests of the team, and that's what's kind of holding them back from turning. So All the owners do it, just in different ways. Jerry at least is out front about it. He's like, I'm the GM of the team.
Right, he answers for it.
He does the interviews after every game.
Right.
He goes on the sports radio stations and talks about it.
In fact, deflects more, too. He takes more of the flack because he puts himself out there that much. Yeah.
And he'll answer the questions.
Right.
He doesn't get defensive. He'll answer the questions about it.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll tell you. So, but I think this is McCarthy seeing a little writing on the wall, knowing the team won't be as good, but might be a playoff team anyway. Might be, right? But he knows that he's going to get blamed. Jerry's the LeBron in this.
Jerry's the LeBron.
If it really goes wrong, he'll never really take all the blame for it.
Right.
And I think this year, though, the messaging in and around them is Jerry said we're going all in, and they're not going all in, and they've lost all these people. They've replaced none of them, and he keeps saying we're good enough. All they're doing is resetting a little bit, knowing big contracts are coming. I actually think long-term they're doing the right thing here, and I would play out Dak. I actually wouldn't sign him now, not at what Trevor Lawrence just got. I would let it play out because you have other stars on your team that are making too much money, and you're not going to let Micah Parsons go, and you're not going to let CeeDee Lamb go, and you can't have three guys making $125 million.
That's right, yes.
Because you just can't have a team that way. So I think that they're wisely thinking this thing through and knowing this might be a hiccup year for them. But they might be good enough to be in the playoffs anyway.
Sure, of course.
Which I actually think would be a pretty good sign that they do know what they're doing if that ends up happening like that.
They have a good to great wide receiver quarterback duo and maybe the best defensive player in the league. Yes, of course they should be good.
Yes.
I mean,
Diggs comes back. Remember, he barely played last year. He got hurt early. Yes. He's a really, really, really top-tier corner.
Yeah.
So they got another star stud. I understand what they're doing because they've drafted well. They have to pay these guys.
That's right.
So, I understand what they're doing, but McCarthy knows if they go 9-8, well, they're going to blame him.
Yeah, of course.
Even though it might not be his fault. And he's just staking ground now going, I just want to remind you that this owner's put me in a funny position here with this team this year.
It's kind of weird that he's staking his ground, though, when he stuck with Garrett for as long as he did.
Well, that's what, I mean... That's why I said
didn't do this.
This is kind of my point about Jerry. He's actually pretty loyal, actually.
Right.
He talks a lot.
Yeah.
But he actually is very loyal. Like, he gave Ezekiel Elliott the contract. They gave Dak reluctantly the contract. What guys walk out of there and they're pissed at them? Not many, actually.
Right.
Not many of them, actually, because they actually, in the end, when push comes to shove, they typically pay people. And he's very loyal in general. You have to make decisions, but he's typically pretty loyal about the whole thing. And I think with McCarthy... He stood up for him last year, too, because they were yelling about him getting fired last year, and they didn't do it.
That's right.
Remember, they were talking about upgrading Quinn.
Yes, exactly.
So, just noted.
Yeah, noted.
Noted that McCarthy is secretly already putting out there, I don't know, guys, which is always a great sign for everybody else when teams are chirping about each other in the offseason. I think the Dak thing, too, I think it does go back to some of it. Do they want to pay him that money? I don't know. But it does go back to, remember after the season ended, there was a lot of social media infighting.
Yeah.
Teammates, family members of teammates, all like trying to stake positions about Dak and whether he's good enough or not. And now McCarthy's talking about Jerry. The reset feels like it's happening here. And that always means that this year won't go as well as their fans probably hope. And honestly, all the attrition they suffered, if they got to 12 wins again, that would be an amazing coaching job that was done. Amazing coaching job if they win 12 games again.
Right, exactly. And I mean, what I would say is this, though, is it's a weird hedge because, one, Jerry's loyal. Two, he has your back enough that you don't really need to do this right now. Like, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Like, why is this report coming out in June?
I think, they thought the last 2 years was a Super Bowl window for them. I don't think they're wrong.
Right.
It didn't happen.
Right.
They had disappointments. They knew that they were going to have to restructure because of contracts that were coming up. Dax, CeeDee Lamb blew up last year, became what they thought he would be, and Mike is great. So, and they already paid Diggs, so they already knew this was coming. Like, this was coming to them. They had to win the last couple of years. They didn't. And now this is a natural, we've got to do this, or we're going to become the Rams and go all in, overpay, see what happens, and then have to blow it up and make weird choices about our roster to reset the whole thing again.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say, to just add to that point, off of that point, too, is that you reduce the roster 2 years in a row, so you don't even really have to do this. People kind of know, but I guess it's, whatever their equivalent of just already knowing it's going to fall apart is.
I don't see how they're that good again. But I'll be, maybe I'm proven wrong. But right. I just they could be good enough. I'll buy into they could make the playoffs. Yeah. I don't buy that they're a division winner again. I really don't.
I agree with you.
All right, we'll be right back. Bram Weinstein Show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital. So let me revisit the Spirit match from yesterday as they won again. They remain 1 point back at the top of the NWSL. There's only 2 matches before the entire league takes a break for about 6 weeks because of the Olympics that are coming up, and many of the players that are going to compete in that are playing in this league, including we should find out soon who's on the U.S. Olympic team soon. That roster is going to get named. I assume Trinity Rodman's going to be on it. Mm-hmm. Corey Bethune probably should, but she might be a little too young, and it might not happen. But there will be a couple of others on the Spirit. We saw Rose Lavelle yesterday; she's going to be playing on it.
Absolutely,
Right. So the teams are going to get broken up, so they can't continue. So they're going to take a 6-week break. Washington continues to, I think, surprise a little bit. Feels a little ahead of schedule. When I first, accepted the position to do the play-by-play for them, I talked to their general manager, and even he kind of told me, he's like, we're going to be up and down because we've got a lot of rookies here. We've changed a lot of things. We have a lot of really good young players, but, let's be, we change systems.
Be realistic.
Be realistic. And, we're hoping for the best and assuming that it's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster. And it's just been going up. It's been a joyride.
Right. Correct.
It's been a joyride. And then yesterday, they had a few things go in their favor, other than they changed the time of the match, which I actually thought was the right thing to do for everybody involved, because at 1:30 in the afternoon in that stadium, it was,
sweltering.
Yeah, if you're not bringing the Birdland splash guy down to spray down the crowd, I think, you're asking for problems, because the heat wave, I'm sure it was here too, was real, and it was bad. So I actually thought for the purpose of the competition, it's probably better served to move it, but they did it at the last minute, and Gotham had played on Wednesday, so a little extra time was going to be helpful to them.
Yep.
So I'm sure they weren't displeased by that. But they're really good. They hadn't lost in 2 months. They hadn't lost since they had played Washington 9-10 weeks ago. 9-match unbeaten streak. And they were getting healthier and healthier and healthier, and all their stars had come back. And they're really good. They just won the championship. Well, they played on Wednesday, and the Spirit didn't. And then when the injury report came out, and for Gotham was long, their leading scorer was probably not going to play. And they were like, nobody on their bench because all these people were hurt and out, not even questionable, out. I just looked at it and I went, we're going to steal this one.
Yes.
And they did.
Yeah. In fact, it should have been worse. I mean,
it should have been
one
worse.
of those games where
Corey Bethune missed an open net.
Yeah, right.
And then in the second, it was funny. It was a total New York crowd. The referees lost control of the match in the first half.
Yeah.
So much so they were getting booed vociferously.
That was the loudest I think that place got. Was
one of their forwards, Yasmin Ryan, was so upset about missed calls. She complained so much for 5 minutes straight that they finally just kicked her out.
Yep, right.
So Gotham played a player down the entire second half. And the first 5 minutes of the second half, Washington had so much space, they could have been up 5-0.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like Trinity Rodman was running free over and over. She could have had 3 goals.
Yep.
And she had 1, and she could have had 3. And they could have been up big.
She also missed that one on the wide angle, too.
Yes.
That was by like an inch, too.
Missed one by an inch. Bethune missed an open net. Rodman had a couple of other chances where she's in the box alone. And that goalkeeper made an incredible save on Courtney Brown, who could have had a second goal. It could have been a really ugly score. But it all added up to, I say this a lot about everything. It's not who you play, it's when you play them. Mm-hmm. They caught that team at the right time. Injured, short rest. Washington had a whole week off. They played Wednesday night.
Yep.
It was right time, right place, and they took advantage of it, and they won. And the score could have been ugly. I don't think it would have been indicative of the difference between the two teams, but they could have won big yesterday.
I think these are also the times, too, where you're actually a little more thankful they're a younger team, that they're going, oh, we've got one game this week, and that other team's played 3 times in 7 or 8 days.
Well, also, the players who are so used to routines and all this stuff, changing from 1:30 to 6 is a big deal.
Yeah, sure. No, it's true.
It's a big deal for me to get ready. It's like all of a sudden I got 3 hours to kill. That's not good. And it's not good for them when they kind of prepare their bodies to play, and then all of a sudden they're playing at a different time. It's tough. And that's Gotham's got a much more veteran-laden team. It probably wasn't great for them yesterday.
Right.
Once they lost that player, I'm like, well, this is over. It's just a matter of what the final score is going to be.
Yeah, because they were playing keep away a lot quite a bit, too. Yeah.
Then the other revelation from yesterday was this. In pregame, we went down on the field to take some pictures.
Yes.
And somebody yelled out something about a charity game that apparently everybody who's involved with this broadcast and this station participated in. And you all were yucking it up about how it went. I wasn't even invited to it. Didn't know about it. I didn't even know about it until I was told it happened. And I'm like looking at everybody going, why would I have not been invited to the charity event that everybody was? I wasn't even invited nor knew about it. I wasn't on the email list. It wasn't I didn't respond to it. I wasn't even invited, didn't know about it.
All right.
So you want to explain this to me, why I wouldn't be invited to something like that?
Here, I'll happily do this. One, it was our friends over at DC Score, so we work with quite a bit here, and we had a little installation over there too. And it's a soccer tournament over at the RFK fields, the new fields over there. Okay. And I am asked a million questions a day at this station because I do so many things. And me and Wardell have our liaisons every single day talking about things. And at some point, our friend Wardell, who does a million things for at the station, said, hey, we have the Scores Cup coming up. Do you think Bram would want to play in that? And I said, no, I don't think Bram wants to play in that.
Yeah, but how would you not ask me, though? If everybody was doing it, do you think I'm not a team player that I wouldn't at least consider it?
I will say this. I didn't know Gabby and Mike were doing it until like the week before.
Oh, so you had a week's notice to know that the people in the booth with me were going to participate in this?
Well, as of a week ago, we were going to be up there in New Jersey, so you couldn't have participated.
What do you mean?
Because it was in D.C.
It was in D.C.
on Saturday.
Well, How did they play in it?
Because Gabby drove up in the morning and Mike flew in the morning. So their schedules worked out for it. I knew yours wasn't going to once we started getting the
Mike
ball
said
rolling.
He was in New York working for the league the night before.
He might have been doing that remotely, but he didn't, or he drove up afterwards.
How could I not be asked?
I think you're making this big stink just because I didn't pass it along to you, because I don't think you were going to play. You weren't going to play.
Okay, but can't I make that decision? And I just feel what I feel. No, here's what I feel. I feel left out, and it feels like don't tell them about it because
no, that's not the case at all. I just made the call for you.
Am I not cool enough to be part of the DC Scores charity soccer match?
No, I just made the call for you. I do this quite a bit with the decision making on this show.
What do you mean? What other things do I not know about that are happening around here?
Because sometimes there are either guests or whatever, and I go, no, I don't think Bram's going to want them on the air. Don't worry about that one. Or other things. This just fell in line with, I didn't think I needed to pass this one along for you. Now I know.
I feel left out.
When is the last time you played soccer?
A while.
Yeah, yeah.
Still?
Before I was born, probably.
When was the last time you played soccer?
I don't know, but I wasn't ever going to play in it.
Okay. Oh, you didn't play in it?
No,
I thought you participated.
No, I saw some of the stuff on social media.
Did you go to it?
No. I was visiting my brother in New York City.
I still want to know why I wasn't invited. I feel left out.
I just told you why. I made the decision for you.
We have some event the entire broadcast crew is going to. We're not going to even tell them about it?
Because once we also figured out we were going up there and you told me you were going to be driving up on Saturday, I said, oh, there's actually no way he's actually going to do that now.
Oh, man.
It's fine.
This doesn't totally...
That's fine. I will stop filtering everything for the show, and then you can start entering all of the questions about everything.
You know my biggest thing is I hate feeling left out. I hate it.
But you couldn't go, and I wasn't going either.
I know, but you guys couldn't have told me, this is going on. It's too bad you're not going to be able to go.
Okay, fine. I'll remember that one for next time.
I mean, I don't recall. Maybe it's happened with the Commanders. I don't recall Julian London running off to something without telling me about it.
It wasn't even like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like that. Had we been here calling the game remotely, I would have said, hey, the Scores Cup thing's happening if you want to stop by.
You would have?
Yeah, because I would have known there's at least a chance.
I don't know if I believe that.
Okay, that's fine.
You guys didn't want me to go for some reason.
I'll just pull the filter off.
Why didn't you want me to go?
I'm just gonna oh, God, stop it. I'm going to pull the filter off. Wardell, go to Bram directly for everything from now on. Have fun with that.
What does he get asked for me to do that I'm going to be like, what are you talking about?
There's just questions that we have with people that reach out to the station and want to have guests on and all this stuff. I'll let you make the call. That's fine if you want to do that.
No, some guests that we never have on the show I'm fine with.
Oh, okay.
But the event that might be really fun that I could probably be part of, you can't tell me that either?
You weren't going to be able to make it.
What am I, 6?
You weren't going to be able to make it. You weren't going to be able to make it.
None of you should have been able to make it, honestly.
We actually, I wasn't there. Because I couldn't make it, and 2, there weren't enough people to even field a team. We had to combine with somebody because of the weather. So
leave me out.
You're just making a big stink out of nothing.
I'm not making a big stink out of nothing.
Sometimes.
Oh, okay, yeah. We had some big event that everybody was invited to that you didn't even know about.
2 people.
Gabby, Mike, you, Wardell. Who else here? Bill Hess. Who else was told about
Rex
this?
and Dante knew, but they didn't go.
Oh, my God.
But they didn't go.
Even the people who have nothing to do with the Spirit broadcast were invited to this?
Because the station had a team.
How many people from the Spirit went to this?
That I don't know. I don't think anyone went because they were traveling.
I just hate feeling left out. That's all.
Fine.
That's my point. Okay. I may not have gone. You might be right about that. I
am right about that.
I might have said nicely I don't want to go, but it's the whole point of how do you not invite me to it?
You want the first right of refusal. Got it. Noted.
Yes.
Noted.
Yes. I don't need to be protected around here from something that might be fun.
I don't know. Maybe sometimes you do.
I can say no. I'm a big boy.
Okay. All right.
I'll be right back. Bram Weinstein Show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital. Hi, everyone. Guess what I did today, everyone? Hi, everyone. Ted, I want to applaud you. I like what the Capitals did. Mm-hmm. They have formally launched what is going to be the start of their 50th anniversary year.
Yep. And
they did so by releasing patches that will be on the road and home jerseys that utilize all of the elements of the original logo, including the stick as an L.
Yep.
It has a 50 around it.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the old stars and stripes. They still kind of wear it. It's still not the same to me. It doesn't really.
It is different colors.
It's reminiscent of the original jersey, but it's not the same.
Different colors.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, they even posted they used slightly different red and blues on the old ones and the new ones. They're different.
Yeah, the red and blue of the old one feels very American flag, and they probably are pretty close to that color
The
scheme,
new one
right?
is more.
It is?
It's closer to the American flag. The other one was more the bullets. It's that bright red and brighter blue, slightly. They're the same. They're the same as the old bullet. So it's slightly brighter for the old school version. So yes, but they posted a logo in all three color schemes. I don't know if you saw that. It was the new one, the old one, and the middle one with the teal, bronze, and black. So.
They didn't say much about what they're going to do this year, other than they put out some cool promo videos that show the old hockey, and they do a couple of things, from 1974, and here they are.
It's a really good video. I like it.
Yeah, I think at some point they'll probably reference that the team nearly moved, not too far into their existence. Yeah. And I actually thought, what I saw from a branding perspective, at least for a start, I don't know what they're going to do yet. We can talk about that. But
sure.
From a launch point of this is what it's going to look like, and this is the symbol of it and all that stuff, A++, guys. Thought it looked great.
No, I thought it looked great. And I don't know if I've ever seen this on a press release. I don't know about you. They actually said the logo was developed with a company. It's the first time I'd seen someone reveal that. I don't know if you ever seen that on a branding. The Commanders definitely didn't do that.
No.
They said it was a company called, and this is all capital letters, Fan Brands with a Z. A company known for creating branding packages for sports leagues and franchises worldwide. So they actually revealed, hey, we worked with somebody on this, which I thought was actually transparent. People usually don't do it. Transparent Ted.
Yeah.
How about that?
Look at that.
And as far as some of the other things that they announced, though, they did announce an alumni weekend. Okay. That's happening, they said, the 10th through the 13th in October, so the first month of the season. They also announced as well they're going to honor all of the original season ticket members. So
I saw that. Yeah, anybody who has had season tickets for 50 years straight is going to get some kind of special thing.
Right.
Happen
so I thought that
which
was really
should
cool.
Be the case.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to ask them, what did season tickets cost in 1974 to go to the Capitals?
Probably $1 a game or something like that. I mean, it had to be super.
$10 a game.
Yeah, super cheap.
When I was in high school, they used to do. I think they still do. They do plans like this, but they not like this actually. When I was in high school. 2, 3, or 4 of my friends, I think it was 4 of us total. We bought a 10-game package. It was $10 a game. They were way up in the upper deck cap center. Yeah. But hockey, it's okay. And when you're young, who cares?
Yeah, right.
And you could pick the 10 games you want.
Oh, there you go.
So we picked a Lemieux game, a Gretzky game. Sure. It was incredible. You pick any games you want, 10 games, $100.
Yep. That's steal.
Yeah, and it was like 4. It was like 3, me and either 2 or 3 of my friends. I can't remember. 3 of my friends, and we went to all these games.
What
together.
year was this? Do you remember specifically?
I was in high school when because we had to be able to drive. Yeah. So I was in high school when we did this. But it was it's a joke. I can't go to a Flames game on a Tuesday now for $100.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say. So it's funny you mentioned that. That the first year I became
that would be like late 80s, early 90s, because I was driving by this point when we did this.
That's really funny. Yeah. They used to do, when I was in high school, and this is the first year I became a diehard Caps fan, when Ovechkin, made the playoffs that first year.
Yeah.
They used to do these things called student rush nights. And whether you were in high school or college, you could either get a $10 upper level ticket or a $25 lower level ticket.
Oh.
And it included a Chipotle burrito card.
Oh, my God.
And
it was beyond a deal.
They would put you at whatever was available. So if you got there early, as in we left from high school and went right down there, they gave you the best available ticket. We were sitting third row for $25
and fed.
And fed from a Chipotle burrito. And let's just
Times
say,
have changed.
Let's just say, after that year, never to be seen ever again.
Yeah, that's like that's the Red Lobster all-you-can-eat shrimp.
Correct. Yeah,
they're like, we're not making money on this.
I got to see
we're losing money on this.
I got to see Ovechkin, Mike Green, Nick Backstrom, all those guys way up close before.
Right,
most
and
of
if you do that with
city.
young people, they're not buying all the beer to make up for what you're giving them. So you're making, they're just there hanging out on your dime,
filling up the seats essentially.
Yeah, sitting third row.
Right. So that was really fun for the year that
eating
they did
a burrito in front of all the players.
Great. It was fantastic. It was great. It was awesome. That's the year that made me a Caps fan. But yeah, like you said, you can't get down there for less than $100 now. So
no.
Yeah. So I mean, I think you and I talked about this a little bit. They need to do a little more of those deals to get people back in the building. But I understand why they don't.
It's not like the place is empty.
Some of those games were a little rough. Some of them. I'm not saying all of them. I mean,
rough, but not rough like, oh my God.
There were one or two of those instances last year. You and I texted each other a couple of times.
There were a couple I went to late when it was like kind of a whatever opponent.
Yes.
For them.
Yeah. Right.
Because my brother-in-law was like, "Do you want to go?" Because nobody did.
Yeah.
And I go with them, and I was a little, I just wasn't accustomed to it because I'm so used to seeing that place full, Rock the Red, Tom Green, the whole thing, and that's not us anymore.
Right.
Even Tom Green's not part of it
anymore. Who knows
anymore.
Tom Green?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Tom Green doesn't exist anymore. Yeah,
Gen
the big moment is singing The Killers.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing now.
Karaoke.
Just karaoke night.
Capsioke.
Yeah. Capsioke. That's good. Ted's like, write that one down, Zachary. Put it in my notes. Capsioke. That's coming in 2025.
Oh, God. Don't give him any ideas.
I did like the branding.
Yeah.
I thought it looked great. We'll be interested to see. I hope they pull all the uniforms out throughout the year. I hope they do it.
So
I think you told me the first ever opponent was against the Rangers, Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
So I think we should pull out the old school original jerseys for a game against the Rangers here. Easy.
I actually think if I was the NHL, I would start the season up there and let the Caps wear the white original. Or actually, no,
they like putting Ovechkin on the first night anyway.
Yeah.
Well, do it against the Rangers, who are good. Great, let's go.
Go the opposite route. Actually, let them wear the old Reds on the road because the home teams used to wear white.
Yeah, the original old school red is night one, Madison Square Garden.
Right.
TNT, book it. Kenny Albert's on the call. Let's go.
I will say this too. There's a couple of little things I think were revealed in this press release that we didn't quite know about. One, they said alumni weekend's going to be October 10th through the 13th. That is, hold on.
It'll be at Rod Langway's place.
Yeah. That is a Thursday, which means that's probably the opener because they start second week of October normally. So I think they kind of revealed first home game is going to be the actual first game of the year. So probably the 10th or the 11th is what my guess is going to be there.
Sure.
My hope, my really big
they're going to be a national game, ESPN or TNT.
Right, but
because they always are with Ovechkin, so they will be.
Yeah, my real big hope though is the 13th is on there. That's a Sunday, guys. Please, for the love of God, do not give me another Sunday Caps game daytime at the NFL season.
Yeah,
Can we please not do that?
Let's see what the
because
what is it? October 13th.
October 13th.
Well, Commanders Ravens.
Oh
1 o'clock.
And the Spirit play that day.
Ted.
Spirit play that day too.
Don't do it. Commanders Ravens. Don't go up against that. I don't care who you're playing. That's stupid.
He's gonna go 1 o'clock puck drop.
Send a memo. You cannot have a game at like 1 o'clock. Commanders Ravens. You will get no ratings. Like, stop.
So I'm just red flag over here on that one. Do Saturday, please.
Yeah.
Please do Saturday with that. Then this is the other little wrinkle here because you just mentioned the jerseys. They said that 50th anniversary patch will be worn on the home and away jerseys.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looked like they had two different ones.
Yeah. They always do. They do the different color scheme. So here's the other part about that. The Caps actually this year do not have a announced alternate jersey. The blue jersey is dead. They buried that at the end of last year because they were losing in it, and then they extended it one more year with the Fanatics thing. So they don't have an official away jersey yet or alternate jersey yet. So what's that going to be? I don't know. And like you just said, I hope they wear a bunch of them, but they haven't made any announcements on that. And so I'm interested to see, are they just going to do one of the old school versions, which I think it's safe if you do one of those.
Yeah.
I just hope they do more than that, is what I'm getting at here.
Yeah.
I hope you, like you said, and I even said to our friend John Walton like 2 years ago, hey, if you're ever in any of these meetings, start getting the docket ready that they should just wear every single jersey they've had. There's only like
100%.
There's only 9 or 10 of them. And
yeah, they haven't actually had that many. Like their original look lasted for 15, 20 years.
Yes, correct. Exactly. And then they went to the 2000s-ish one or late 90s one, and then they went back to
the teal.
Yeah,
Eagle.
the teal with the black and the bronze.
Yeah.
But then they went back
Which
to
I
it.
hated,
Yeah,
by the way.
I think it's aged really well.
No.
It's aged incredibly well. I'm
fine, but like they're red, white, and blue. Like this is the
I agree.
boundary stones thing to me. It's like, come on. You don't even look like the same team anymore. At least it's an eagle, but like, come on.
And
I didn't like it.
So I just hope
I like the reversed version of it, but I never liked that teal one.
The black version.
I think it was just so far away from what I was accustomed to seeing them in that I didn't like it. They also played in the Stanley Cup for the first time wearing those jerseys.
The teal one, yeah, exactly. So I hope they bring back a couple of those. What I will say is this, though, they at least have to bring back the old school one in some way, shape, or form. Like, I don't know how you don't pull that out at some point this year. Right. So
multiple times that should happen.
That's my hope.
The white one and the red one.
The other one I hope they actually pull out that I haven't heard anything about, though, is I want them to wear their Winter Classics from the Nats Park game, where they were burgundy with the big blue W. I don't know if you remember those. Those were really clean, and they only wore them outdoors. So I hope they bring that back, because that was kind of like you're in DC wearing them outdoors.
Have they announced outdoor games yet?
No, but
50th year. You don't think they'll be in it?
They ain't getting it. They're not getting another one for a long time.
Why?
They've played in all of them. They played Winter Classic in Pittsburgh. They played Winter Classic here. They played Stadium Series in Annapolis. They played Stadium Series down in Carolina. That's it. I mean,
they're out of places.
Well,
if Louise would just build me my stadium, we could do it outside there.
These ones, I don't know if you remember those ones.
Oh yeah, those are nice.
Yeah, I wish they would wear those one more time.
Yeah, those are good
just to have.
Yeah, I think they should cycle through all of them this year. I think they should do that.
They're not going to get another one because they're just not. They don't demand the same attention as the other teams.
So anyway, the bottom line is I liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
I liked the start.
Yeah, thought it was good.
I like to see what you're going to do with it, but I liked the start. I thought it was great. I would assume the center ice logo is going to be the 50th anniversary logo.
Yeah, they said that. Yeah, it was in the release.
Okay, great.
This was also.
Can we paint the goals with stars on the side?
No, you're not allowed.
Why not?
That's like a hard.
You don't mess with that?
Yeah, you don't do that. Yeah.
Some things you don't mess with. That's one of them.
Yeah, you just don't mess with that.
I would have put stars on my goals. Zachary, send an email to Gary Bettman. Dear Gary Bettman.
You're not allowed to do that. It's screw up replay. It's screw up replay. You can't get a clear cut line. The lines would start to blur a little bit. If there are stars all along the thing,
it'd be cool if you ding the post and the stars dinged. That'd be cool looking.
It's way too much. Way too inside.
Fine.
Once in a while when that happens.
Yeah. Once every 5 games. But it'd be cool though.
Do I do Mantha? Remember Mantha would hit the post all the time?
Oh yeah.
It's your boy.
That is my boy. This other little piece, Scott Allen wrote a piece for the Post about it. And he mentioned this little thing, which I didn't realize was the case. Probably old news, but I didn't realize this. Mm-hmm. When they originally were going to name the team, Abe Poland did do a name the team contest.
Okay.
Did you see this?
I didn't, but I probably know.
You want to know what the most popular submission was? 12,000 submissions?
Hold on. It wasn't it Pandas, right?
Pandas were among the most popular.
Okay, because Ben
wrote
that in his book. So I'm trying to remember. It's Pandas. I can't remember.
So this is now 50 years of people realized Pandas would be a good name for a Washington team, but that's neither here nor there. Nope. The number one choice at the time, 12,000 submissions, was Comets.
Oh, okay.
The Washington Comets.
Got it. Okay.
Which I don't think is a terrible name, actually.
I don't think it's bad.
I love the name that they have.
Yeah.
I don't think they've made a mistake there, but clearly.
Right.
But Comets is pretty good.
Yeah, I think Comets works. It just isn't.
Would they have gotten the Commanders treatment of, oh, you're the commies?
Yeah.
Maybe.
The comms.
Yeah, especially back then in the 70s. Cold War, baby.
They also might have gotten shortened to the Mets, though.
The Mets. We can't have that.
Oh, right. So that might have also been a part of that.
Comets. So the most popular submission was 12,000 people wrote in Comets. Cyclones was very popular. Streaks, which I know.
No.
There's so many wrong.
So many wrong things with that one.
So many wrong. Nudity, dirty underwear.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Just so many. So I'm glad that didn't happen. Domes.
Yes, that I knew that one.
The Capitol.
So you could go off that, the Washington Domes.
Or the Capitol Domes.
Yeah, right.
They could have been the Capitol Domes.
Right.
That also... That one doesn't feel like if you have bad seasons.
It's kind of dumb.
Oh, the Dumbs. There's the Dumbs.
Yeah,
kind of dumb. Pandas, which I love. And, if we're ever changing the name again, just want to... That's
Pandas.
my little submission for you. That's all. But the winner was Capitals.
Yep.
Of which, and this is the most interesting part of this, 12,000 submissions for Comets, 88 chose Capitals.
Oh.
And Abe Pollin vetoed the public and said... We're the Capitals.
He made the right call.
Even though
he made the right call.
He did. Now, years later, when they did this with the Bullets, he made the wrong call. Because I'm pretty sure the same thing happened. Because they did do a name the team contest.
That's right.
And the names are funny because Sea Dogs was one of them.
That's right.
Jackson loves talking about that, the Sea Dogs.
Well, it was Sea Dogs and Dragons.
Dragons. They fell into what happened with the Washington football team. There weren't a lot of options where anyone goes, oh, that's the one.
Sea Dogs, Dragons, the Express, and the Stallions. Stallions.
Ew.
Oh,
my God.
Ew. All of it. Ew.
So, in the same way that the Commanders ended up in I haven't heard one I love. That happened to Bullets. I didn't hear what I loved, but I'm pretty sure, if I have this right, I believe whatever the popular vote was overridden by Abe Pollin then, too, and he chose Wizards. But there wasn't an obvious. This Capitals one reads like there are actually some pretty good ones. Comets is pretty good. Pandas I love. Capitals is great. They actually had really good options for the hockey team.
I'm looking at it. It did say they got some backlash to being named the Wizards.
What about Comets for the basketball team? If they thought about that for the hockey team, why didn't they think about that for the basketball team?
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
That's a pretty good name.
Still been You're Fast. That still would have been
Comets.
Yeah.
And they were once upon a time the Zephyrs.
Right, yeah, it's true.
So that actually would have fit.
Washington Comets for the basketball team actually would have been great. A John Wall Comets jersey would be a good one.
Zachary, I have another note for you. Write this down. Write to Mr. Adam Silver. What if we change our name to Comets? It's a good name.
Why are Ted and Zach like Mr. Burns and Mr. Smithers to you?
I don't know.
That he just barks demands at them.
I don't know.
You know
that's what I think's happening.
That's not what they do, right?
Are you kidding? Here's what I know. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. They have a radio broadcast. What?
Whoa.
Zach!
Whoa.
Yeah. So Comets, I'd like to have a redo on that one for Bullets.
I think Comets, Pandas.
That's a really good center court logo, too. Comets?
I agree, yes. No, it would be
the really good center court logo.
It'd be the same equivalent as
you bring back G-Man for that one, too. Comets.
G-Man.
Oh, yeah. G-Wiz gone. G-Man back.
You could also do a nice launch party at the Air and Space Museum.
You could. And if your team's name's the Comets, would everybody walk around at the courtside seats during the game? Not sure.
I don't think that matters.
I don't know.
If they still lose, yes, they would.
There's part of me that goes, I think Comets they need to change the Wizards' name. Since we're into changing names.
Oh, I've said this for a while.
We need to change the Wizards' name.
This for forever. Yeah.
I mean, again, this is one of those, I wish they could go back to Bullets. They never will. Correct. It was a great name.
They should.
Comets.
Why?
That's pretty good.
The only problem with Comets, though, is Houston has now put everything space on lock.
Okay. Rockets, but they're the Rockets.
Rockets, Astros. There's City Connect uniforms for them. Say Space City on them.
We got the Air and Space Museum here.
Yeah, but it's just a
museum.
We
could defund them, Houston, anytime we feel like it.
Washington Museums.
Museums. Yeah.
Then you get different themes.
The Historical Society.
You get different themes every night.
That's true.
Yeah.
What's that? Oh, no. We can't go to break now, huh?
No, we can.
You sure about that?
It came back on.
That was a terrible sound.
Came back on.
That's the sound everybody goes, oh, no. That's the universal, oh, crap, my computer's dead.
Went off. There we go. Okay.
Washington Comets. That's pretty good. Pandas. That touched my heart to see that was actually in play 50 years ago.
Right. I also said this too because when I sent out that tweet that I apparently stole from you, that the Pandas versus Penguins matchup had a good ring to it.
Oh, yeah.
Penguins versus Pandas. We would have had a sick graphic of them fighting each other.
Pandas, let's see, does that work in basketball? Pandas Celtics? I don't think so. It doesn't read well. Comets Celtics, that feels good. Comets 76ers, that's pretty good.
You're sleeping on the ones that have been around for a while. Grizzlies is fine.
It's fine.
Right. That one
It's
works.
dumb. Well, that made sense in Vancouver.
Yeah. But
it's one of those that moved to Memphis. There's no Grizzlies in Memphis.
Ton of Memphis Grizzlies. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Oh no, it did it again.
It's popping back on and off now.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. No, it's there.
Okay. Good job, Capitals. I thought it was lovely. Let's see what you guys do this year. I'm excited.
Right. Yep.
I'm excited. I'll buy some merch.
No, you won't.
With a 50th anniversary on it?
You won't.
I might buy a hat with it.
You won't.
I'll wear one if it's given to me.
Yeah. There you go. There it is. There it is.
I'll wear one if it's given to me. I'll go to some charity event if they want me to.
You didn't even buy.
If I get invited to it, unlike other places I know.
That's good. We went back-to-back championships in this town. You didn't buy a single Caps or Nats item.
That's right.
Or did you buy
a Caps hat?
You bought a hat. Yeah, that's right.
I have a Stanley Cup champion hat.
Yeah.
Somewhere. I do. So you're wrong.
One thing.
Fake news. I do. I have one. Somewhere.
You don't even own a Nats jersey.
I do not own a Nats jersey, but I would never wear any baseball jersey. They're not comfortable.
What?
Yeah.
They're just open shirts.
Nah, they button down the whole thing. I'm out.
You don't wear them buttoned, though. You guys style it. You got to wear it open.
No, see, that's why. I'm not going to wear that. I'm never wearing that. That has nothing to do with not wanting to buy it. It's I just won't wear that item of clothing.
Okay. Nice.
Like a hockey jersey, too, similarly, is a little unwieldy to wear.
Unwieldy.
But to a game.
What are you putting armor on over there?
No, I mean, like, if you're walking around the streets in a hockey jersey, like a basketball jersey is easy. Because, like, especially on, like, 102.
Sure.
It's awesome.
Right.
Go ahead. Stylish. Hockey jersey, at no point in time is that a stylish thing to just walk around the streets. But if you go to the game, great.
Yeah, if you go to the game.
I'll wear it for the game.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
I won't wear the baseball jersey even to the game because it's so unwieldy.
Okay.
And uncomfortable, and it's
it.
98 degrees outside, and I'm not going to wear a D-backs jersey. It's just dumb.
Okay, fine.
Settled.
You and I are different.
And football jerseys, I think because football's ubiquitous, I think like that's okay. But again, similarly, I'd probably just wear it to a game. I wouldn't be wearing it out.
No, I'm with you on that. The football jerseys also are not comfortable anymore because they're not mesh, so you get really hot in them.
If you have a good body, the old school NBA jerseys, that's a look.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
If you there's no walking around with a Gordie Howe jersey that's stylish at all.
Not hot.
It's not hot. But like an old school Magic Johnson jersey or Michael Jordan jersey or even like the old school Nuggets Mutombo jersey, that's a good look.
See, I think you sleep on the baseball mesh jerseys, the old ones. Like I've seen those.
I'm not going to wear them open, and I'm not going to wear them closed.
The mesh ones there's like one button at the top.
Yeah. I mean, I like hockey sweaters. I'm never going to wear it but to the game. It's the only place I would wear it to.
Okay.
Okay? We settled? All right.
Thanks for all of that.
You're welcome.